Nadia Sahari Show.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show. I'm Nadia Sahari. I want to tell you that my show is a very, very important show because we all have a dream. We all have a dream to write a book, to act in a movie, to get a record label, or to start our own business. And this is what my show is about. It's about your dreams. It's about giving you hope and encouragement to go forward with your dream. I invite my guests to share their journeys, their challenges, and their successes, and how they did it and how they're doing it now. Today's guest has been in the acting business for over 30 years. And wow, I can't wait to tell you about her. You'll be able to listen and learn and glean what you can for yourself. Pamela has been performing professionally since childhood, and she performed in USO shows. She's a SAG-AFTRA actor since 1989, celebrating 30 years as a union member. Pamela has extensive theater, film, television credits, and I'm going to let her tell us more about it because she has an interesting history and life. I mean, it's going to be amazing. And let me introduce you to my friend, actress Pamela Weaver. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show, Pamela.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you for inviting me to speak with your audience.
Oh, I can't wait. Yes, you have some great stories, and I can't wait. Now, I know that you are originally from Virginia. And from Virginia, where did you go?
From Virginia, that was in the Tidewater area. I was performing with my siblings. They were called the Weaver Sisters, and performing in USO shows and USO clubs.
Wow.
From there, we moved up to the Washington, D.C. area, and I continued acting there, and then went to college, and then headed off for Las Vegas, and then started got my first feature film in Las Vegas in Butterfly with opposite Stacey Keach.
Cool.
And from there, it took me a while because I was too afraid to go to Los Angeles by myself.
I got to tell you that I lived in Las Vegas for 9 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that you lived in Las Vegas. There's a great parallel. We've been in all 3 states together, Texas, California, and Las Vegas.
Yes,
Nevada.
Really.
I know. Wow. Okay, so you spent 17 years in Las Vegas. You headed for Hollywood, and you landed your first starring role. Oh, say that again?
Yeah, but I took a detour
before
getting to Los Angeles. I ended up in San Diego and did some acting down there as well. And that is where I got hired to play my idol from childhood, which was Bob Hope. Played his best friend, Sophie Tucker, at the Super Bowl 22 for his 83rd birthday. I think that's what it was.
That's great.
But I was always enchanted by Bob Hope because of the USO tours, and that's where I fell in love with Marilyn Monroe. Was age 6, and after seeing her in Some Like It Hot, and then I knew for real this is what I wanted to do with my life.
That's great. You want to hear another parallel?
Yeah.
I'm a Marilyn Monroe fan, and in my home, I have Marilyn Monroe all over on my walls.
Oh, God. Then you got to come to my house. I have a bedroom suite that is nothing but Marilyn Monroe. And all my L.A. friends said, you have to grow up and let go of the Marilyn Monroe pictures.
Oh, no.
No way.
No way. No way.
No way.
Wow, that is funny. Yes, so go ahead, tell us. So what happened? You were inspired by Marilyn Monroe after the Some Like It Hot movie.
Yeah, and so I carried that with me, and I can remember even as a child, we lived right on the water in Virginia Beach, and I would set up on that patio and pretend I was performing, and then we'd do the bows and thank you, and then one of the things I recall the most was my sister, who was the real person behind all of that and getting us booked into tours. I would go to school and come home, and we immediately had to go to rehearsal. So I thought every kid growing up was able to sing, dance, and perform. So it was really, when I got in my teen years, I went, really? You don't perform and sing? So that was kind of odd for me.
Yes.
But when I left, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say, you were on the Ted Mack Talent Hour. What did you do there? You performed your singing and dancing? And how old were you?
I did. I was 5.
Wow.
I think, no, 6. I was 6 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Nadia, but there was a group of the 3 guys that performed. They played a trumpet, drums, and I think a guitar. And they were all dressed as monkeys, and one would have their hands over their eyes, the other against their mouth, and the other ones with their ears.
No.
Well, I went behind. No. Oh, you don't remember that?
No.
Well, that was on the Ted Mack Hour.
Right.
That was on the Ted Mack Hour.
Okay.
I went behind stage, found their masks, and put them on, and the producers thought that was hysterically funny. So I remember them trying to push me out in front of the cameras. I do remember that.
That's
cute.
Was
a little funny.
That's cute, yeah. So then what happened? You were inspired by Marilyn Monroe, and what did you do for a living while you were in Hollywood, trying to be an actress, working your way up to the film industry?
I worked for law firms, even when I was in Las Vegas. And then I realized, well, these are entertainment law firms around here too, and what better way to secure my own career,
yes,
being able to negotiate my own contracts if I know what the business was about on the inside. And that helped me tremendously. Also, in that time period of working in these legal law firms, I met a lot of stars, from Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell, and then on to Cindy Williams with Laverne and Shirley and Roseanne. And one of our clients, now remember I told you my childhood idol was Marilyn Monroe.
Right.
So I'm at the law firm, and I find out that we represent the Marilyn Monroe estate. And I was talking to Anna Strasberg, because I would talk with all the clients, and she was going to be doing a talk at the Strasberg Institute, and invited me to come down. So I was ecstatic and went down, and she pulled me out of the audience and tested my skills as an actor. And then after performing, pulled me aside and gave me a scholarship to the Strasberg Institute.
That's great.
And so I studied there for several years. Also studied with Stella Adler, and she was a tough cookie. When I started doing her class, if you didn't do things the way she expected them, she would literally to get the hell off my stage, which she did to me at one point in time.
Wow.
And then our final performance, though, it worked out really great, because my final performance for the class was before the public they invited in. And I'm behind stage with my scene partner, and I hear Stella saying, "Oh, and this is a scene from the top of the stairs, one of my favorite of all time scenes." And I turned to my partner and I said, "We are going to have a major problem here." And we went out on stage. We got a standing performance. She stopped us halfway through and said, "This is what's going on," explaining it to the audience and to the other actors. And then she turned around directly and looked at me and said, "But you know that, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And then later that we got a standing performance, and I'm back behind cleaning up my props and working with them. And she comes back on her that little thing they need for people to walk with, a walker. And saw me with my props, and she turned to me and she said, "Enjoy your life in acting, because this is where you belong."
Oh, wow.
And I will never forget that. I burst out crying. But that was the first thing. And then from there, I got my first stage show, and that became a feature film. And that's why it's called Joey Takes a Cab. I'm starring in the opposite. My husband was Lionel Standard.
Wow.
From Heart to Heart. You remember him?
No, I don't. I might know what he looks like, but I don't know the name.
Yeah, he has a really gruff voice. If you go to some of the old shows, you'll see who he is.
Yes.
And he was one of the ones that was blacklisted in Hollywood during the
communism,
the McCarthy era.
Yes.
Yeah, the McCarthy era.
The McCarthy, yes. Wow,
yeah, so
that's amazing.
So I learned a lot from him too, because we were had our scenes, of course, all together, and from there, then the director from the play, they hired me for the show, for the feature film, and then I got several other shows after that, feature films, and didn't even have to audition. I would go in and I would talk to the director, because it was the same director for all three films, Albert Band. So, and my career just took off.
That's great. That's great. Now then, you left Hollywood. How long were you in California?
20 years.
20 years. Wow. And
yes,
then
ma'am.
You left and you went to Texas, to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, it was the top of the real estate bubble in 2006. I sold my home because my accountant said, "This is your opportunity to act full time. I know that's your heart's desire, and not having to go to do a 9-to-5 gig." And I said, "Absolutely." But when I sold it, I couldn't afford to buy back in. And my sister and I were looking at different places around the United States, and we found Austin, Texas. Found out it was a music and they had a movie studio there, and so I packed up my stuff and I came down to Austin, not knowing anyone. And landed an agent right away, and it was like being a big fish in a little pond, and I started working right away. So that was then gracious. But even better than that, coming to Austin opened up other doors that I was not ready for. I didn't know I wanted to do that. But I was invited to a what they call a drumming session here in Austin. And met all these amazing women. They were getting ready to go to Machu Picchu, and there was one spot left, and they were leaving in 4 days, and I took that spot.
Wow,
and
that's great.
going to South America, and then the first day I was there, I injured myself, and then it was like I was being thrown into a bunch of holistic medicine and shamanism, and it was almost as if the universe said, "Shut up, sit down, and listen." And after 3 weeks down there, I came back to Austin, and I am in a beauty salon blabbing about, oh my gosh, everything that I learned is ancestral knowledge that's so relevant to what we are doing today. We need that, especially the empowerment of women. And somebody's going to do a film about this. And there was a producer in that beauty salon, and he said, "Why don't you do it?" And I said, "Well, I'm an actor. I've never been behind the camera." And he said, "Come down to Channel Austin, and we'll show you how." That was on a Friday. That Monday, I was then taking classes. 6 months later, I went down with my own camera equipment and shot a feature film in South America.
Wow.
That film became a feature film that is currently in worldwide distribution to this day.
Wow, that's
called
wonderful.
Keepers of the Light.
Keepers of the Light. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. We are listening to Pamela Weaver. She is my guest on the Nadia Sahari Show. Pamela, wow, what a story you have. And you did the Keepers of the Light docudrama, which is in worldwide distribution still today. And in 2008, you formed the SAG-AFTRA Austin Actors Conservatory. Tell us about that, please.
Well, in 2007, I sold my house in 2006. I took this journey down to South America. 2007, I went to my first membership meeting for the union in Austin. The board at that point in time were talking to all these opportunities for actors and what they were doing in Houston and Dallas. And so I raised my hand and I said, well, what about Austin? Isn't this where all the creatives are here in Austin? And he pulled me aside and he said, you're absolutely right. And we need something happening down here. Why don't you start it and start the conservatory? And I said, sure. And I don't know, I know many actors who have given over their paycheck for days and months and years of acting classes. And I'd already been through that. And I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to help my fellow actors, get them the kind of training they really need to face the professional world. Yes. By holding classes in Austin. And I started bringing in a lot of big name people that were teaching the classes here in Austin. And then the members kept seeing me doing all this work, and I was getting known in LA and New York. What the heck is going on down there in Austin? All this stuff is going on with union, and this was a right to work state. Yes. And then many of the members kept saying, why don't you run for president? And I said, I don't want to be administration. I'm an actor. But they pushed me and said, we really need your kind of energy here. And so I did. And then in the former president asked me to be on the board. So they nominated me. I was reelected on the board. And then in 2012, when SAG and AFTRA merged, I became the very first female president for the SAG merged union, basically. Wow. So it was pretty awesome.
That's great.
And then thereafter, I got reelected again, and now I'm also a national board member. So I spend a lot of my time in Los Angeles still working out these contracts and making things better for all of our members.
That's wonderful.
That's my passion.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, now, I read in your bio that you were adapting a book for the big screen that you co-wrote with Frank Pirelli entitled Famous Last Suppers. Tell us about that.
Well, Frank Ray Pirelli has been my surrogate dad, and he is actually the one that hired me on my very first stage play with Joey Takes a Cab. And also then that was when our friendship started. So that started way back in 1989.
Wow.
And so we had been writing this book, and the entertainment law firm I was working for at the point in time, they were trying to show it around in New York and stuff, but it never got kicked off. And I don't know if I told you, but one of the actors that we represented was Roseanne Barr.
No.
And one of the partners was mentioning this at a meeting, and this project that Frankie and I were working on. And after about 2 or 3 years after leaving Hollywood, I'm turning on the cable channels and I see Famous Last Suppers. And I called Frankie. I said, what happened? How did Roseanne Barr's got our name on there? And he said, well, she can't do it because we have Writers Guild, protections, all this stuff. And then the show was basically canceled. And the reason why it was canceled was because she thought, oh, this is a great idea. Because what the idea of the book is Frankie was a entertainer from the 1930s. Wow. He was a stand-up comic. During the war, he was, Lenny Bruce's was his roommate, in Hollywood. The list of celebrities, which is, I met so many people through Frankie. Frankie just opened the doors for me. And in that, we got all these stories, collaborated on, and he kept asking me, because he knew I was a legal secretary, and so I could type, and I could go ahead and take I was the only one that could read his handwriting, basically. So we collaborated, and that was back in the late 1990s. And just about a couple of years ago, I've been working on it. Frankie would, pay me a little, but I said, Frankie, I've got to work. I can't spend all this time working on this project, and I've got to make a living at the same time. And so I laid back on it, and I've always thought from day one when we started working together that this is a book, that it's not a book. People look at it, well, is it a cookbook? Because after every story, we give the recipe of the Last Supper of that individual. Oh. And so we started, I kept telling Frankie, so this is not just a book. Wow. This is an episodic. And so we were looking to take it to Netflix. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, Frankie caught West Nile virus in California. And his health went down drastically within like 6 months. And that was a couple of years ago. So I was talking again from all these people I'm bringing in for our actors here in Austin. There was another guy, a voiceover actor, and I told him the story, and he said, why don't you self-publish? Mm-hmm. And so I did. I got back in and spent 3 months working and getting all the stuff together again. And I finally got the book published. And the biggest compliment was walking into that hospital room, and he looked terrible with all those tubes and stuff, and I showed him the book and this grand smile across his face. And it gave him the opportunity to relive all those stories again. So it was good for him. It was good for me. I showed it to some other people, and they said, oh, wow, you got to take this to Netflix. And that's where it was going, and I was just happened to be in Chicago visiting my grandson last October. And the people that kept mentioning who should be the starring role playing Frankie would be Danny DeVito. Mm-hmm. And I'm on a train in Chicago, and those doors opened up between the buildings, and who do I see but a life-size figure of Danny DeVito waving at me. Wow. And so all these things were coming together. A couple of weeks ago at South by, I happened to be I'm supplementing my career now as rideshare. I met the writer who won for New Girl, who actually was also a writer on It's Always Sunny in Southern California. Met his parents in my car. Told them about the fact, you've got to get a hold of our son, Doherty. So we'll see how that happens. Wow. In the meantime, this past summer, I just directed another film. It's called Lift and Separate.
Yes, and I was reading about that. Yes.
This is more, again, just like Keepers of the Light is about empowerment of the individual. Yes. This is a story, a true story, about a 50-year-old secret, a family secret that comes to light. And it circles around the Cinderella story.
Oh, is it fiction? Is it fiction or true?
It's a true story. It's a true story.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's surrounded, the production is done as if it were the Disney story. And it just so happens the song that came out of it when we were on set, I kept, told people what we've already got this cast. It's an all-female cast because I had all my friends saying, can we be in it? And I said, no, all-female cast. And I'm just looking for the song. I keep hearing it in my head for what I want for the opening. And one of the gals, I don't know if you know her, Griffin Gardner, she is a SAG-AFTRA actor as well. Yes. Went ahead and got a hold of her. She was the last role to be cast. And at the crew meeting, she shows up at the meeting and she said, I understand you're looking for some music. And I said, well, yeah. And she stepped down a tape. We listened to it and I said, oh my God, that's exactly what I wanted. How did you know? And she said, well, you pasted it on Facebook. It just so happened she talked to a music composer, her friend in Los Angeles. The composer called me and said, look, I want to score the entire music of your film for free. Wow. And I said, why would you do that? Wow. And he said, because this is my story. And I said, this is a female, an all-female cast. I don't understand how this is your story. And he says it's the same genre of what happened to me. And he explained that he was part of the rock group, The People, who were really big in the 1980s, and they were on American Bandstand. And that the entire band, after getting all this celebrity, ended up going into Scientology, turning over all of their assets to this group. And that from there, they ended up there stuck for the last 10, 15 years. And that he had just gotten out of that situation, but his family's still there, and he's forbidden to go ahead and talk to any persons on the side because they're still members of the Scientology church. That's right. So he said, you don't understand. This is my story because I had to wake up to fact to make a decision just to get into that pickup truck and go. And that's the lyrics of the song. And just so happens that he submitted the song to the Music and Lyrics Society last September, and the Disney people over there, they heard the song, they want the song. So I think we have some things going to be happening with that particular project as well.
That's great, Pamela. That is so wonderful. And you are so involved with the union, with all actors that are like-minded performers, and your childhood dreams have becoming a working actor is no longer a dream but a reality for you. You actually have made it. You've done it. I mean, and it was so brilliant for the thought to go work for entertainment lawyers. Dear Lord, I wish I would have thought of that. That was brilliant. And, to meet celebrities and to get your feet in the water there like that by meeting them and knowing them. Because as we know, it's who you know in Hollywood for you to get jobs or to get into the career of an actress or an actor. It's who you know. And back then, when you were doing it, most of the actors were all in a family. I mean, that was a legacy of a family, and you were an outsider if you were not in the family of actors.
That's absolutely true, yes.
Yes, and things are different now. Yes.
And I can tell you also, during that time period, that was about the casting couch.
Yes.
Era. And that has changed dramatically now, as she's well known. Our union has gone ahead and taken a major stand against sexual harassment,
yes, against
having auditions done in someone's hotel room.
Yes.
I mean, so things have come around, and that's why I'm so proud of our union that is protecting our actors.
Yes.
And especially the young gals,
yes,
coming up.
Yes. And I'm glad. I am too. I'm a SAG-AFTRA actress as well. Well, let me ask you, what would you give the audience as a guidance or as advice if someone is out there trying to be an actress or an actor, and we know it's hard to do that. It's hard, and maybe it's not as hard as it used to be when you were doing it. What kind of diamonds can you give us to glean from? Your story was something we could glean from, but what can you give the audience to give them hope and encouragement, not to give up on their dream?
If this is your passion, you're going to know it's your passion. When you spend 12 hours waiting for a scene, when you're going to spend hours and hours just waiting to go ahead and do what you're supposed to be doing. And then all of a sudden they cut, or it's raining, or something else happens. I even had an opportunity when we were shooting Joey Takes a Cab. During a major emotional scene, we had an earthquake to shake up, and then going back from sucking up all that, crying and all that stuff. That takes training. Mm-hmm. So my advice to any actor is, especially if you're still in school, try out for all the plays. I try out for everything. Musicals, comedies, dramas, period pieces. You get your feet wet there. Don't take from just one acting coach or one acting teacher. Find out, because everyone learns differently, and you're going to find someone that gives you that encouragement. Not saying that, and I actually work with some very difficult teachers, as I explained. They didn't always give me great grades or kudos. They would be hard, but I'm from a military family, so that gave me more strength to go ahead and get better. And so I would use every opportunity in school that you can to learn your craft. Find other teachers. Don't just stick with one. Some person can be a really good teacher, and they could be really lousy. You'll know it in your heart eventually. I would say that. And also, if you have an opportunity, even if it's a non-union project, pay attention. This, again, is your school and your homework. Every time you're on the set, watch what everybody does. Find out all the positions that they hold. How could you learn something from them? You never know when you're going to get an extra opportunity. I was on a set called, it was the writer Stephen King's Gotham Cafe. I had not been working in a couple of years, and they brought me on set. They gave one of these parts, a small part, to a family member. Well, she froze on the set. The producer knew I was a SAG-AFTRA actor, came up to me and said, "She can't do it. Can you do it?" I did, and I was back in the game. Always take opportunities. Never turn anything down. I mean, if it's going to be something that's going to, go against your grain, then, you make that decision. But everyone that looks at you for their performances is looking to get something. They want to hire you. The casting directors want to make sure that this is the last person. I don't want to have to go through another 15, another 100 actors to find the right part. So walk in there with that confidence when you go into an audition.
Yes.
Know that somebody wants you. And if you don't get it, I've got a lot of rejections. And I found that a lot of times, it wasn't my acting so much as I looked like an ex-wife. I looked like somebody's best friend that they had an anger, a feud going on with. Those are the reasons a lot of the times you don't get cast.
Yes.
If this is your passion, you'll know it. If you can withstand all of the rejection and all the bad mouthing, because there's a lot of jealousy. I was very fortunate when I came to Austin because I would have never gone behind the camera except for the extreme mentorship of the creatives here in Austin. Going behind the camera would have never happened in LA. You have to have, I think it's like $25,000 direct in LA. That's just to get into the union. So, I mean, and if you are a non-union actor in Texas, there are tiers as far as initiation dues to join. So I love sitting on sets, and I will hear these myths that people think about the union. It's usually, that's when I'll go in and speak up and say, no, you got it wrong. This is what the real stuff is. No, it's not going to cost you $5,000 to join the union. No, it's, this can cost you $500 a year. And you have to learn it. If you are really interested in pursuing your passion as an actor, study up.
Amen.
Ask questions.
Amen. That is wonderful. Perfect. Very well said. I mean, that was great advice. And Pamela, you are outstanding and amazing. I even just learned something. I learned a lot from you that I didn't even know about. And I'm one of those that I've been out of it for a couple of years because of personal reasons, but I'm just getting back into the acting game myself, and I'm so excited to get with you and to do something with you and do something together. But just even to learn and just to be a friend is wonderful. I just love it. So I want to thank you so much. But I want you to also let people know about your social media. How can they look you up, see what you're doing? Where are you? How can they contact you?
I'm on Instagram at Pamela Denise Weaver. I have a website, www.PamelaDeniseWeaver.com. I am also on Facebook. You can get a lot of my little tips because I'll put those up as public. I will give you a lot of information on the union. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. Our landscape as far as entertainment and performers has drastically changed over the years, but our union's catching up. A lot of the actors here in the right-to-work states, especially Texas, are upset because we've just lost our tax incentive program again. But there's great news around the corner because Netflix, which is now doing their original content, they just invested $45 billion in the Albuquerque, New Mexico film studios. That means more work for us union members. We don't have to go to Atlanta to do that.
Right.
Things are changing.
Right. Things are changing. And they always will change.
Yeah.
Yes, they will. And Pamela, thank you so much. And I'm so glad and can't wait to get with you and talk things over and see what we can do. And just even to be friends.
You have an interesting story too that I understand. So yes, I'm really looking forward to hearing that one.
Yes.
Over coffee.
Yes, over coffee. So I want to thank you so much for being on my show and for sharing your journey, your challenges, and you are truly an inspiration, and I thank you from my heart. And I'm so happy that you were here today and telling us your story. God bless you and thank you. And I will see you soon.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Nadia.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was Pamela Weaver. What a story. She's been through it all. She's met many, many famous people. She's done it all. Pamela Weaver. She did it. What a brilliant idea to work for entertainment lawyers. Man, I wish I would have thought of that. But hey, she did it. And I'm so proud of her. And I think that that is a great idea for you, all you young people out there looking to be actors. Instead of being a waitress or a waiter, go work for a law firm and an entertainment law firm. And maybe things will happen for you the way they did for Pamela. And I thank Pamela so much for the great advice that she's given to you. And think about this and listen to her advice, because it is amazing and wonderful, and you will learn a lot. You always learn from people in the industry who have had the struggle and who are successful now because of that struggle. So I want to thank you again, and I know that no matter how many degrees you get from college, it's never, never too late, and you never, never know everything. You never learn everything. We always have something to learn. I learned a lot today just listening to Pamela, and I want to tell you that knowledge is wonderful, and you must have it, and you must learn it. No one has the monopoly on any business or any art or any book. No one is the best actor. No one is the best of anything. No one has the best house. No one has the best of anything. There's always something better. Always. And we can never, ever, ever try to beat anyone or to go knock anyone down. Do it the right way. Do it with your talent and enjoy yourself and have fun. And it is our right. It is our world. We have a world here of free speech, and we teach and we learn from each other. So I want to thank you again, and I want you to remember my saying, because you are worthy to live your dream. And this is my quote from my book, Breakaway, The Road to Freedom. It is by choice and not by chances that we change our circumstances. And I thank you for listening to the Nadia Sahari Show. And I would love it if you would give us a 5-star rating and review all my platforms on my show. They are on my website. Just click and it'll take you there, and you just follow and like and tell us how you enjoyed the show. If you have a story to share, go to the NadiaSahariShow.com website and email us. For now, I say good night and God bless you all.
You've been listening to The Nadia Sahari Show. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Plus, get your free podcast from the iTunes Store. And remember to tell your friends.